So let's see here. Yeah, I feel like I'm in halftime, like whatever that means. I guess from I don't even know. I can't even think. I just know that today is the 31st of October, and of course you're November the 1st now, right?
Yeah, I am in your future.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so let's see here. Let me just make sure it's on. Okay. Yeah, and I'll tag you in a bit. Okay. Well, here we are. Soulogy. Leanne's with us for the second time. I'm excited that she agreed to come back and sit down with us. She checked in with her team and they gave her this date, which is a few weeks ago. And it didn't even dawn
Might
on
be a
me.
few months ago.
Yeah, maybe it was. I don't even remember. Yeah, maybe it was 2 or 3 months ago. I don't remember. God. But yeah, you got right back to me and you said, "How about this date?" And I actually put a note on my calendar and I was working on my week 2, 3 days ago, and you sent me a message and like, "Do you still want to do this?" I'm like, "Yes." And there was a perfect spot right there. I'm like, "Yes, that's a perfect time." So, yeah, there's a lot going on. You mentioned you wanted to start in. Well, first of all, welcome back. Thank you for coming in. Pardon my manners, but I'm half off planet, and I don't know if I'm an aberration right now. I think there's a lot of that going on right now. It's not so much the bouncing back and forth for me. It's like I'm in the middle watching both sides in an observation mode. But uh, as I take actions, and move forward and stride forward, it feels like I'm walking through plasma. It feels very lucid dreamish. It feels strange. It feels a bit different. And of course, this is on the Halloween, Beltrain, whatever you want to call it, Day of the Dead over here in Mexico. So there's a lot to be said for that. But yeah, thanks for coming in. And yeah, you want to start with Egypt?
Yeah, thank you for having me at this really powerful passage we're going through. You know, to to speak into the way we're feeling right now, it feels like we're going through another birth canal, through this gateway of Samhain in the northern hemisphere, Beltane in the southern hemisphere, Dia de los Muertes in Latin America, and coming into All Souls Day in the Christian calendar as well. It's a time when the veils are the thinnest in the world, but simultaneously we're going through another canal, a compression because more expansion is needed. So there's a lot of people feeling quite disorientated, disconnected, and disassociated right now. And if they don't have a strong practice, which anchors them into their body and into the planetary body every day, it can be very unsettling for them. So that process of going through is also coming through into more fluidity and more of our plasma bodies and more of our light bodies that are wanting to anchor. And it was really interesting. Yeah, just yesterday, I met with the Soul Family, the group that walked through our ancient future through Egypt during the month of September, during this powerful eclipse and equinox passage. That was very specific. It was very specific who it called into the field, who were weaving with us outside of the group, but at different points of the planet, and what wishes to unfold during that process.
Were y'all like weaving, or did you actually go to? Did some of y'all go to Egypt?
No, we walked. There were nine of us who walked through Egypt
Oh wow.
on the
Okay.
journey, and there were
That's
many more weaving with us from
okay. That's
different
what I
points of
thought.
the
Yeah,
planet
that's what I thought. Yeah.
simultaneously.
Do you know Raylene Brady?
Yes,
Okay. So
it's
her
beautiful.
right? Like
Raylene
I
and I
just
met at
uh,
the arse end of the Sphinx on New on this time on All Souls Day, about
you're kidding.
gosh, 13, 14 years ago. I
Okay.
was I was coming out of Yemen back to UK. She was coming out of Asia
Oh,
through Egypt on her way back to Australia. And we
okay.
had not yet met in person, although we'd been connected.
Right.
And our pathways brought us to meet right at the arse end of the Sphinx
That's
inside
wild.
the.
Well, I was just reflecting because she comes on once a month, and she came on a couple of days ago. And she just went to, sounds like the same time period. She went to uh, Japan, Mount
Yes.
Fiji, and she went, or Fuji, and she went to somewhere else. I can't remember. But there was another thing that you jogged my memory on. I just wanted to mention because I believe there is a Egyptian connection. I saw something yesterday, and I haven't had time to check it out, but it sounds kind of legit. And it was this article, and it was talking about kind of like talking about the origins or the multiple origins of Halloween, right? Hallow be thy name. They made like an association to Christianity or the Bible or whatever. But the interesting part of what I read was that it was actually originally marking the demise or the end of Atlantis. And I'd never heard that. And Hallow, the day, citing the day in a hallowed manner, was in regard to all the souls that transitioned at that time. Now, I never heard that. I just thought, wow, that's kind of weird because we, a lot of this stuff we don't know with certainty where it actually came from. But this one seems to be a multifaceted period or 2 or 3 day period, and that revolves around the veil being thin. So I don't know. Anyway, please continue. Tell us about Egypt.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that in. I just got a full body Koyopa visceral confirmation about this roots coming out of Atlantis, and that's new information for me also. I was not aware of that. I'm very aware of the confusion when the Southern Hemisphere is celebrating Halloween because of mainstream media and marketing, even though it's Beltane, it's the beginning of summer here in the Southern Hemisphere. And so it's really interesting that it does have those roots in there. That, of course, comes back to Egypt. I've been visiting Egypt since 1989. It was my 19th visit to Egypt and my fourth sacred journey. And the first one we walked was through the ancient Egyptian timelines. The next one was through the ancient Atlantean timelines. And before even walking that journey, we had to walk the temples as the temples were getting the energetic rewiring that existed during the Atlantean timelines then. The one after that was reinstating the divine blueprint of our galactic origins. And then this one was our ancient future. And it was going right into our ancient future. We were working a lot with ancient feline races that you'll often see depictions of in the temple walls. And it was the first time that we'd been working right back with them. And going into the storage centers of the codes of creation prior to manifestation and the encoding for the divine human template before the corruption and the distortion that occurred, which limited our connection and restoration of our multidimensional architecture. So it was big. It,
It
it's
sounds
it
like it. Now,
yeah.
but okay, so because I've always, I know there's no time, right? Like we talk about our future selves, we talk about our past selves, we talk about our galactic, which seems to have some type of futuristic, you know, uh, context to it. Um, but when you talk about the ancient future, are you talking about um, here on the Earth or the expansion of it through the solar system and the cosmos and the galaxy?
Both.
Okay. Okay.
Or they are not separate. We're storing coherence in the connection. If we look at our planetary body at the time of the fall of the firmament that happened during Atlantean times and the Great Flood, then we're looking at a collapse of energetic architecture, both personally and planetary. We're looking at the infiltration of other beings from other dimensions, galaxies, using that as an opportunity to claim their place on the planet when they didn't belong here and they weren't in the agreement fields of our planetary body. So it's been a labor of love for lifetimes, for eons, for many of us to get to this stage of restoration that we're currently at. It's a restoration, it's a reclamation of our own sovereign selves and the sovereignty of our planet and the purpose of which it was designed for in the first place.
Yeah, that makes sense. That fits. I never heard anybody put it the way that you just did. Part of what you said. There's so much talk about the firmament, and there's also talk a few years ago, up until a few years ago, about how we were quarantined. I always thought that was kind of ironic. Are we in a firmament? I mean, obviously we're not in a field of solidity. This is a whole, holographic or energetic, however you want to put it, atomic based. But that sounds that sounds kind of radical. It sounds real though that the firmament collapsed, and then with what you described, I can just see the visual of it. It was like kids in a candy store. All these forces came in, like you said, that didn't have access because there was no agreement, and this is kind of how the beginning of the end occurred: the flood, the fall of Atlantis, and then this free for all that we've been trying to work ourselves out of. Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah, it was revealed to us, when we were first guided, there were four of us guided to hold a gathering in Poland, in the heart of Europe, Seeds of New Earth. And that gathering is at least 10 years ago now. And we just opened it not really knowing who would show up, but it was on the site of a sound temple north of Warsaw, where there were both inner earth and galactic gateways on a site that we consciously had time to bring to closure. We had such very short notice at the time of the fall, at the time of collapse, and at the time of the infiltration of a whole lot of unwanted guests on the planet, that there were sites in Earth and galactic gateways that were closed correctly, consciously, and securely, and there are others that were compromised. And that one, when we had Seeds of New Earth gathering, was one of the first ones we came to where the inner Earth and the galactic gateways were reopened. And of course, the soul group that gathered for that particular one were those that were there at the time of the closure. So we got to relive the experience of what it was like with very short notice, to having to choose, are we going into inner earth light cities? Are we going to stay for the cycles of reincarnation required to reboot this system? Or are we going off planet and are going to be working from the outside at the time of the reinstatement of the architecture?
Wow. Well, that's deep. So just to kind of absorb all this, because I mean, obviously, I've talked to a lot of people over the years, but looking at you, Raylene, even the story you had from 13 or 14 years ago, knowing so many of these, particularly women that I've talked to over the years that have been tapped in since the late 80s, some since the 70s or 60s. Um, this work that you're talking about, you're almost talking about it like it's a very casual, almost nonchalant thing. But I just want to point out the profound, aspect of it, because not only does it speak to our history and the information that those like you carry into specifics, but also to be able to bring that into your field and actualize it in the moment, not just yourself, but with others, which is fantastic. Because as you speak this, I can remember these things. I can remember when Lemuria, when the invasion happened. I can remember when Atlantis fell. And then as you explain, were we going to enter the inner earth and go through these cycles that were required to reboot the system? Or are we going to assist from outside? And I can identify with both of those, particularly the inner earth. But as I look at my brothers and sisters that I've come into contact, I can see the ones that were out here and the ones that were down here. and how we have come together. Because I do believe there's quite a few people that are walking the earth today that are haven't been here. You know what I mean? They're very galactic, and they have a tough, obviously have a tough time being here. But yeah, so that's a really nice thread of information. I'm anxious to see what else you have to say about it.
Yeah, well, Casey's a great example like that. Casey, who hosts the Guardians of Gaia New and Full Moon gatherings with me, she's not been on the planet since Lemurian timelines. So she's a very clear channel, and we have we have great synergy between our systems as well because of our shared purpose for being here and for a monadic group that is gathering for big work that has still yet to unfold in the time to come. And it's wonderful because I'm one that put my hand up to stay on the planet. And that's why my walk and work is so much about our embodiment and evolution. And this is how this has become an integrated part of my life. So I don't think this is another reality. This is the reality I live in. It's not one I go into and out of. It's one that I'm now established in. And in so doing that can support others into that reconnection through their own systems. My system operates very much like an architecture. So when I'm interfacing with you, if I'm speaking from my full integrated connection, your system reads not only if this is true to you or not, it also can recalibrate your system by just interfacing with my system while we're together. And that transmission can happen also through writing. I'm learning how to actually integrate it into the writing, so if people are reading, then they can still integrate the transmission, which goes into why I've been asked to not only do a Mastery in Multidimensionality 9-month mentorship program, but also to put it in writing so that people can, who don't might not need to walk through the whole program, can read and reconnect to their architecture, their pathways, and open the pathways for those that they're here to be the way showers for.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's like the viral, contagious,
Yeah.
what you're describing. Yeah, I've never verbalized it like that with that type of language, but I've noticed that I experience it a lot on the show over the years. And I think it might have been Raylene. We were talking about it a couple days ago, and it was just this moment where everything was, everything was. No, I don't think it was Raylene. It was another lady from Spain, and she said, "Oh, you're shapeshifting," and I'm watching her, and I could see like illumination around her and the way the light was working, and I knew there was more. It was like because it's the first time we'd ever collaborated. But I made the comment. I said, this is crazy. Like, they'll find this, they'll find this electronic file in 20,000 years, not knowing what the technology is or anything, but it's the frequency. It's like an oracle. Every one of these interactions that we're having, and with you having said that, I have to also make the remark that it's been happening more and more and more, I would say, since the first of the summer of the Northern Hemisphere, since June 1st. It's been happening more and more and more. I've noticed it. And it's not what's been typical, although there's been flashes, but it's almost like I'm seeing you, I'm seeing myself in you, or you're speaking to me as almost like as my soul or as my higher self. Like it's that type of communication. I'm not saying that's exactly how it works, but there is some type of instantaneous recognition that's happening during the interaction, during the interface, right?
It
Good stuff.
is you. Well, we are a Stargate, and best we occupy our Stargate, because if we don't, other beings will. And what happens is, we are living libraries of light, the same way as these temples are and pyramids are in Egypt. So what happens is we become receivers and transmitters of information and storage systems of information and access ways of information. So when we have spent a lot of time walking the earth and interacting with these sites, we become living libraries. So then we are interfacing, doesn't matter if I'm with you here or I'm in my Wednesday dance class in the local community. Every time I'm interfacing with another's system, there's an exchange of information that's going on relevant to what that individual is in need of or resonant with. So what happens is, instead of when we first wake up, particularly when we're empaths, we're kind of protecting ourselves from the environment. We actually come into a structure of architecture that starts informing our environment. And that comes with a great deal of personal work to be able to land our light ship in the first place. Because there's no use to us now with our light ship being out in the cloud. We actually need to ground it for our own safety and security and influence, and for those we're walking and working with.
Yeah, that makes sense. And let me ask you, I know everything is metaphoric and, energetic. It's not this literal, physical, dense experience to be, equated to that. But it sounds like to me, one of the things that you're saying, which makes a lot of sense to me, is, we obviously get and have gotten a lot of information from out here. You could say our light ship, okay? But you're right. The light ship, the point is to bring the light ship into here. So we're operating from the central source of this integration. And another way to say that, because you see it a lot in these communities where, sometimes we got to get our head out of the clouds. We think about embodiment. It doesn't have to be this pain and suffering, bump and grind thing. It's for me, what seems to be coming in over these, since we've talked, really, more and more, it seems to be like you're functioning as the soul that you are. It's almost like you've entered this spacesuit that looks like a human body, and all the tech is there. The only thing working against you has been the conditioning and the illusion and the false presentation and distortion, which we're obviously overcoming. And I think you're bringing up a really good point. It's not just bringing these light ships home, but it's also the collaboration and the coexistence sequences and situations and happenings that happen. We're lighting each other up is what's happening. We're not just, the light ship is coming in, but we're interacting and furthering the weaving and the threading and the regeneration to the original, like the original state, the original divine blueprint. It's exciting. We're like lighthouses.
It is, and occupy our lighthouse is vital. What does it mean to be anchored, grounded in our physical animal bodies? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it entail? Because that's the key. We're here to have mastery of mind, management of emotions, and regulation of our nervous system. There's three big keys to land our light ship. And without that, it can be very destabilizing. I said we just met actually yesterday evening with the team that walked the ground crew on our ancient future. And one of the most important questions that came up is, what do I need to land more of me that I'm connected to now? How can I really integrate this? Because even though, I've been walking this way for a couple of decades, quite consciously now, to land, and the whole journey from it's been a 4-month mission, a 1 month in Egypt, of which we had a 16-day walk together from Upper Egypt through the initiation temples and onto the Giza Plateau. And then part the first part was me just relocating my consciousness from Egypt and the Middle East back into Aotearoa. And although I flew out and landed on the 29th and went to visit the waterman and came in here literally on the 1st of October, and now it's the 1st of November in New Zealand, I went in and I went down and I went into my cocoon in my little colourful cottage on the estuary to bring all of me home. And that took about 2 weeks. It was just a couple days, around mid-October, I was like, oh, I'm here now. I've relocated here now. And to do that, I had to pay attention to diet, exercise, nutrition, very little time going out, the rest of the time staying within, and specific integrated body work to help me relocate. So that was my relocation. But then the next 2 weeks of October have been a recalibration to the expanded part of myself that had come online through this journey. So that next 2 weeks of recalibration, that only completed 3 days ago. And if I'm asking now, the integration, how long is this integration process going to be? I'm looking to probably December solstice at the earliest. So when I'm talking about earlier on, we're going through a birth canal through this Samhain, Beltane, Dia de los Muertes, and All Souls Day. It's another birth canal that will then take us through to whatever's going to birth out through the December solstice passage. And it's all stages of integration that require a lot of discipline, dedication, and practice as well. And play and time in nature, on the earth, in the earth waters.
Hmm. Yeah, that fits with quite a few things that I picked up on through my work. I'm not saying that I've downloaded any of this. Maybe I have some of it. I don't remember, but most of it I picked up from the work. Okay, so the first thing was, I believe it was 2 days ago, that the three-eye atlas was at the closest point it would be to the sun. Now, on that day, and I read this three different places. Two I came across, one I researched and found, and there was three different calendars that were colliding on the same day. It was the Mayan calendar, Gregorian calendar, and I don't remember the other. It may have been the Julian calendar, but that in some way they were coming to the same point, right? And then the other thing I heard was, because I'm big on, like, I know the power of these equinoxes and solstices, and the winter solstice seems to be the big the big to do every year. It was certainly was last year, but that on or about December the 19th is, I believe what I got was that it was that three-eye atlas would be at the closest point to the Earth on that day. And so combining that with what you're talking about, and Ray and a few other people and some of the stuff that I've been getting, that this, as my friend Gareth Jenkins puts it from Melbourne, he works with the Arcturians, that by the end of the year, we will not recognize ourselves. Like the level of transformation that this window has, like from the 29 October to say December 19th or the solstice, is like something we've not seen in millennia. Like this is it. This is the big time, So that really, for me, resonates with what you're talking about.
Yeah, this is a big shift. So we're in a springtime or an autumn time. It's heading into summer or winter. It's time to do a deep spring clean. Physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, personally, professionally, and right down to the point on the planet where we choose to reside. Because there's a lot of people also that I've been working with and in communication with that are getting relocated in this period of time, are getting relocated to the next point on the planet where their system is required to be for what's coming after December solstice.
Yes. I I already know a few people that have got their marching orders, and I was told I was actually done here in Mexico October the 15th, and my plans were just to go back over the border into Texas and kind of follow. And I got some information regarding that too, involving Sedona and a few other places. But then I was told, don't go anywhere. You need to stay right where you're at. So I was able to find a place in town uh, right away, and I'm thinking it feels like about 60 days to like the middle of December, and then quote unquote, you'll get your guidance from there. So to me, that feels like, or at least what I received for myself was that there's a bunch of stuff going on right now. There's going to be a lot of movement, and to really speak to what you just said, which is exactly what I'm going to do when I get done with the show, is start some spring cleaning, physical spring cleaning. But even when you mention, personally, physically, mentally, and professionally, these all seem to be coming into alignment with each other. In other words, let's get everything ready. Companies coming or something. The gala, the coronation, the coming out party, or something's coming. And I guess what we're all, that's where you see all these narratives involving that three eye atlas and other things. It's interesting watching all the different dialogues right now because in a way they're all over the place, but I think it was Ray that said, they're actually all correct. Everybody's is correct.
Yeah, and this is where we really have to fine tune and be mindful of what are we feeding our time, energy, financial investment, and consciousness to? Because we're creating it. And yes, it's beautiful to reflect through the physical and metaphysical images of what Atlas is bringing to our planet. Because what we're looking through is the filters through which each individual reflects and relates and organizes their reality. And yes, all are correct for that individual who's reflecting through that specific filter or projecting through that specific filter and receiving feedback through into their system, into their operating system. And if that operating system is aligned with their soul, their mission, their earth walk, then the information that they're sending and receiving through that will support those that are resonant in their field of reception for their passage and path of awakening.
Yeah, it's like there's talk about um, um, what is it? Skull to voice technology, voice to skull technology, or psytropic warfare. In other words, uh, they talk about how, wow, I was walking in the park with my mom and we were talking about diamond rings, and I came back and got on the internet, and the first thing I see are ads for diamond rings, right? So there's this, there's that conspiratorial type of narrative, like, oh, the technology is they can read our mind and da da da. But really, what you're talking about is is in a natural, organic way the same thing. It's how the architecture works. It's how we work. So yeah, we're going to be given the things are going to come to us to continue to weave our inner architecture and therefore our contribution to the whole. Uh, as long as we are paying attention and keeping the house clean, right? Because I think that's part of what's coming into our awareness is that, wait a minute, all these narratives that, the bets are off. The universe is speaking to me. The universe is speaking to me, arranging to have this co-creation at this point in time. After the day I had yesterday and the day before that, and if I think about the shows that I had, they fit right in too. right? They basically had the same makeup you did, Ray, Liara Covert, this Kiaran Art out of Spain. They all were carrying codes. And, yeah, am I doing a show that serves the public? Yes. But the reality is, I'm gathering my own code. The universe is giving me code. And I think it also accentuates your point too about, in a metaphorical way, if you look at the example of me, is that, yeah, there are brothers and sisters on the peripheral, so to speak, monadic and otherwise, that are coming to this hub to get information. And I see it all the time. I see the connections all the time. So that's a, I know that it doesn't sound like a lot, but to me, it is a lot because it is embodiment. I mean, we're actually living souls coming into our own recognition of ourselves and each other and the way the whole thing works. Because it doesn't work the way we were conditioned to believe. This is part of our evolution and expansion is to say, oh wait, this is the language we have. This is the way we navigate. This is the way we play. And I think, one of the biggest things that's happened to me in the last 2 or 3 days is during one of the shows, and again, I can't remember because y'all carry the same energy, uh, but they were saying something about uh, that, we have these questions, as we gather this information. It was Liara Covert from yesterday, and she said, and we think, we have to do certain things to become pure. Like that's one school of thought. We have to become pure. We have to purify. And then in the next sentence, she starts talking about authenticity. And I realized in that moment, I said, wait, well, being authentic, truly authentic, and that's a huge word with much greater connotation than where we came from. That is purity. I always try to simplify the math. And in that moment, I had that revelation. I said, oh, you know what? Just, when in doubt, be yourself. Go to the heart, be yourself. And that kind of takes all the, PhD part of it. Because listening to you, listening to others like you, sometimes I've got to slow it down and go, okay, wait a minute. It's such a natural part of, and because y'all have been doing it so long, it becomes something. You know how when somebody knows something really well and they're talking really fast and you're like, wait a minute, like astrology or whatever it is, like, well, this was happening and that was happening and this is opposite you. And then I'm like, okay, well, you know what that all means, but I don't. But to my point and to what you were saying in your description to me is we're starting to see it. We're starting to see this is how we engage. This is how we collaborate. This is how we co-create. This is how we learn. This is how we love. This is how we live, right? Or we were meant to. Thank you.
Well, the difference between knowledge and wisdom is embodied experience. And I didn't go to school to learn what I've learned. I walked to the earth to learn what I've learned. I walked my red road path of remembering through the four winds with Alberto Viodo and his team. And when I got to the end of that, I walked out, not because I didn't have deep love, gratitude for all that I'd remembered, but quite literally, I received two transmissions that altered my whole light body and life. And I didn't need to work with my kuya, my rocks, my stones, my drum, my rattle anymore. And it's not because I didn't love my rock, stones, and rattle anymore. It's just the evolution that I went through at that stage reconnected me to the earth and the grid and enabled me to work very intuitively with high frequencies, light, and consciousness. And that then took me onto a journey of mastering the darkness, being able to read the deep unconscious. And through the individuals that were drawn to walk and work with me, I discovered our ancient history of humanity and the Anunnaki and Enlil and Enki, not through the books, although they were a great reflection of what I was learning, while excavating souls who were entangled with those stories that needed to be released from them in order to walk a heart-centered, grounded, conscious path in their service in this lifetime and timeline on our planet. To be able to draw on the gifts and the expertise of their unique soul to untangle and untether them from the trauma, misuse, and abuse of power so that they could show up as the lighthouses they are here to be at this time when our ocean gets a little more rocky, which is happening right now.
You mean literally and otherwise?
Quite literally. And this is what's also interesting about the specific who's being called to move right now, who's being called to anchor. And what is the purpose of the movement? What is the purpose of the anchorage? And can we be able to be in enough fluidity to respond to our specific directions and instructions when we receive them? And this is what's inviting us to release any tight grips we may have on reality. The other words I was given to describe this passage that we're going through, this birth canal we're going right now, is a reorientation of realities. And if we are everything, there is nothing that we are not. How can we learn to flow while maintaining our centered groundedness and the discernment required to navigate the realities on our planet right now, and physical realities and non-physical realities?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good explanation. Um, it's, there's so many things that you could say to that, like, where your attention goes, energy flows, or, but I do really feel like this has been referred to, apocalypse means unveiling, the Greek etymology of it. Yeah, my feeling, my understanding, by the looks of everything, it seems that everything's coming to the surface. The truth will be seen. So, in that unraveling, which is reweaving at the same time, I guess, we're finding out that the vast majority, the far vast majority of those things that we've accepted that ultimately were presented to us are not true. They're just not true. And it doesn't make anything bad or horrible or ugly, or because that's part of our evolution too, is to come to terms with everything that we created because we all had a hand in it. So, and I remember my friend Franco Di Nicola that, I've mentioned before, we did 52 shows together. He's the most tapped in person I've ever met. And his information was huge. But he came into my field a few times since he transitioned. And one time he came in shortly after he transitioned, and he said to me, and it was about this time. It would have been for late 25 going into 26, right? And he said, what's going to happen is everything that you believed is not going to be true. And it was one of those little statements that you hear sometimes, and there's so much more to it. It's like multidimensional in itself. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I feel like that's coming. Yeah, it's coming. It's here actually.
Yeah, I remember when somebody said to me once, any belief is limiting. And it just made me pause because I could feel the resonant truth of that. And until we know ourselves, we're very often clinging on to realities, schools, ways of being, ways of doing for our own safety and security. And that's how we organize reality. But right now, we're being asked to let go of the way we have formulated reality, the way we interact with reality, the way we engage with one another. And how do we let go without having to grab onto another way is by knowing thyself and doing the personal work required to land our light ship, reconnect into these bodies, into the planetary body, and listen deeply to our own compass, our own true north, and learn to become a magnet for that frequency, and therefore begin to attract those that are here. We are here to create community with, collaborate with, walk with, and weave with, as we are here to birth our new earth, to manifest our new earth. It's here now. So if we're not living it, what more do we need to unpack, let go of, make space for, to be able to inhabit our bodies and play?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely that. Um, the, I mean, again, there's just so much happening, and it's happening so fast, and it seems like this weekend is like a big, it's like a big integration point. But what I noticed the last 3 or 4 nights, I'm a heavy lucid dreamer, and I get a lot of information there. And there'll be times when I notice that there's no recall, an integration. I can feel there's a different kind of uh, physical awake experience than when I'm heavily lucid dreaming. Okay. So over the last 3, 4 days, it's been very heavy, not heavy in a bad way, just I'm in it, 100%. I can tell by the physical things that happen to my body. And then I can also tell by the way I walk the earth during the day, so to speak. And that's what it feels like right now. It feels to me, and I don't know if you have any information or connection on this because I don't understand it, but it just seems to me, if I had to describe it, that when I go to sleep, and I can't be the only one, uh, there's an opportunity or availability in periods like this period of time, these days that you've cited, um, where there's a great opportunity to bring into alignment things, maybe to bring your ship down, your light ship down, to further embody it. I can feel the progress, and I can feel because I feel it in my body when I wake up. I feel like wow, I feel like I just went to a 3 day retreat, and like oh my god, what's going on here? Or my body's acting different. Like I'll go the whole day, like I haven't eaten today. Well, you're not going to eat today. Just go get some coconut water or whatever. So yeah, there feels like, and I guess where I'm going with this is, do you feel like there's a possibility that our what we call our dream state and our awake state, from our human perspective, will become kind of one too? That those two things will integrate as everything else seems to be integrating, where it will become one. If there's no sleep, there's no death, kind of thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like you mentioned that this is your experience. This is your reality. You were talking about that earlier. It wasn't out there. It's down here. We seem to be bringing everything to here. But do you feel like there'll be some kind of ultra fusion that will occur that will change the fabric of the way we do live and navigate?
What you've described is the way we do live and navigate. It's the way the Australian Aboriginals refer to this waking reality as the dream time. Because everything happens for real in the ether, which is designing what's unfolding in physical reality. So this is the way, natural and organic way, our systems do function, which is being restored. What's prevented it operating that way is depends how thick the clouds are and how much separation there are between our bodies rather than coherent connection. Because when it's clean and clear, when our physical, mental, emotional bodies are in alignment with the soul, when there's coherence between them, and we start to recalibrate and reconnect into our galactic architecture, which exists, we've just been disconnected from, then all is restored into the natural and organic order of reality, where there is no separation between waking and dream state. And this is why I was guided to formulate the Foundation of Embodiment journey as an online program that people could easily access, because that holds within it the keys that restore the alignment, coherence, and connection, that release the cords that are keeping us bound to other people and places through space and time, which helps restore the architecture of our individual lighthouse, our lightship, and land it into the present moment, into this earth walk, into this embodiment, and into a place where we can actually hear our soul speak.
Yeah. And where do you have this? And how long have you had it out? And what's it called again?
It's on my website, earthwalk.global,
That's right.
under online programs. Foundation of Embodiment is right there next to Mastery of Multidimensionality, which is an online in-person mentorship. But Foundation of Embodiment's there. And it's really interesting, it's been out for a year now, but I've never really put much energy into advertising or publicizing it. However, now it feels that it's really useful. It's not for people who are just waking up,
Right.
because people who have tried it from that, it's like too far removed. But people who are away along their pathway and are feeling stuck, like parts of them are bound through space time, and they're kind of trying to bring themselves together so that they can move forward, because they know and can feel right now that they're being required to advance in their journey. And it's really useful for picking up the pieces that are missing. But the first exercises, they're like shamanic sacred journey that are interactive. And the first one, the alignment process, the aligning physical, mental, emotional body with soul, that's actually available. Anybody can access. It's freely available, because that's the key. Once we get that alignment of our bodies into place, we've got a space of which to bring back parts of our consciousness to as we reclaim it. So it's like putting our jigsaw puzzle back together. And that jigsaw puzzle starts very much in a conscious mind, earthly, physical, planetary experience. Obviously, once we bring that parts of ourselves back in this dimension, then the soul can land, and then we can start recalibrating to the rest of our architecture. But if we try connecting to that without having the foundation in place, we actually can become a hazard to ourselves. It's describing a bit like, kite surfing. The physicality's the kite. The physicality's the surfboard. The kite's our energetic body. And if we go out in a storm, and the storms are coming, without them in harmony, connected and strong, you can actually separate the two. And I actually worked with a man that was sent to me once, who had been working with another on building the kite without anchoring it through the physical body. And he actually tore the two apart. And it required a great deal of work to bring that connection back together to his physical body. and literally say, let's give that a rest for now and do the foundation work. Let's land you, your body, your light ship into this body now. Because boy, life's a whole lot better on planet Earth when we are here and we get to play in nature. As children of this earth, the way that we're designed. And a big key, I see I've lost you, Todd, so we'll just carry on. A big key to that landing of our light ship, to landing soul into body, has to do with reclaiming the sacredness of our sexuality and addressing any shame, fear, guilt, or trauma we have around sexuality. Because without that, we can't land fully and anchor into our body in the earth. And once more, that is our womb of creation. And when we sync our womb of creation with the source of creation, the synergy opens up the synchronicity that opens up the magic of our multidimensionality and the way in which we can play with that consciously on earth. And for that, for those that have done that work, this is a really exciting time to be alive, a really exciting time to be here. And for those that would like that information, you can find it all on my website, earthwalk.global. There is the foundation of embodiment there and mastery of multidimensionality. Welcome back. Where'd you go?
It's Mexico. You know, the power goes out sometimes. I haven't had too much of a problem, but it's just trying to get back. I know you have to go, but yeah, I was just trying to get back in time. Yeah, it was I was looking at the three different platforms and it's brought in a lot of interest. I wonder if you want to get together again in maybe another month or so. I'm enjoying your sister, Raylene. We just I think it was about the same time we started, you and I. And I don't know, we just kind of naturally started doing it like once a month, and uh, it's been a pretty good exchange. Like this one, this one's been very informative.
Yeah, well, if I ask, it's going to be in early January, so we'll tune in for a date together.
Yeah, that'll be
And
good.
sure,
I
we'd like
trust
to, and
your
I
team.
also, yeah, and I also feel to introduce you to Casey. I think you'll enjoy meeting her if you haven't met her yet.
Who was that?
Casey Clausen, who
I would love
who
to. Oh, wait a
hosts
minute. I think
Guardians of Gaia
I think
with me.
I think I did you send me her direction before? Let me see.
I don't
I
think
know
so, but
that.
yeah,
Casey, what's her last name?
Clausen, Clawson. And
S-O-N.
that's another place which is wide and varied what unfolds through our Guardians of Gaia gatherings, but every
Uh-huh.
new moon and every full moon, we gather and we share what's moving with us through the planetary body. For instance, like Raylene's just been in Fuji working with the white dragons, and simultaneously we're working with the ones in Africa. And we
Oh,
had to do
wow.
a big lot of work around Lake Victoria to clear the connection between the big white dragon down in South Africa and the one that's up in the Sinai in North Africa, to reconnect that. And what's opened up because of that is extraordinary. And we're going to be exploring that on our next full moon gathering. We kind of alternate time zones so that people usually once a month get an opportunity to join live if they would like.
And y'all do this on Zoom or how do you do this?
Yeah, we do. So there's a Facebook page for Guardians of Gaia. On my website, until it has its own website, Guardians of Gaia has a page on there.
Hmm.
Recent replays, they'll find them on my website or in the YouTube channel. And if people are resonant with that and want to join us, then they're best to send me a message
Mm.
and then we can add them to our WhatsApp group,
Okay.
which is where we post our gathering times. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Let's keep weaving. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I know you got to prepare for some company, and I hope that I'm sure that will all go well. And I really appreciate you showing up, and I mean that in multiple ways, and also on a personal level too, because you filled in a lot of blanks for me today. And I look forward to further collaborations, both in the physical and the non-physical.
Well, thank you, Todd, and thank you for your service and audience. Because, and also, the Library of Light and living information you have, you're like a docking station where everybody can come and meet to literally pick up and receive coded information from for their own system. So you're actually fulfilling a really important role on our
Mm.
planet right now. So it'd be great that people can acknowledge you by supporting you with donations.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing Ray again and making the connection. I didn't even think about it, but you carry the same energy. I thought, God, I wonder if they know each other. And then for you to know each other 13, 14 years ago,
Yeah. Oh,
and
it's
then
great. We've had some
yeah.
amazing adventures together through the Starry Whale Palaces,
Oh, I'm sure.
the
I'm
Dolphin Dreaming Temples, time with the whales out in Harvey Bay.
Oh my God, yeah. And I saw a post she put up the other day. It was one of those memories, and I'm very good friends with Christy and James Greenshields, and she was in the picture with them. And it was like from a year ago. Look what we were doing a year ago. I thought, oh my God, everybody knows each other. But I guess that's what's happening. The physical monads are all coming together. Really, we're all
Yeah,
coming
it's
together.
really exciting. And even the way we walk in the world, even when we walk as a group, we're walking we're walking as a team and we're all listening to our individual
Yeah.
information and we're bringing that into the shared field, which opens more information. And from the more information, everyone benefits from it and everyone's working with and serving with. So what it's doing is, yeah, it's lighting up our planetary body very organically right now
Mm. Yes. Yeah.
in a really beautiful way.
Yeah. Well, the human unravels.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see you later. Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. It was great. All right. I'll
Much
see you.
love, my dear. A pleasure to journey with you once